Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Everyone is joining in. There we go. Welcome all. Great to see everyone here. If you can have your video on today, it's lovely to be able to see you. We would love you to add into the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Just as we get underway for today, love you to pop into the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Just as we have people joining us, welcome, welcome. Amazing. We're going to get underway very soon. But in the meantime, pop in the chat there where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Amazing. Those of you that don't know me may be a bit confused about my accent. Yes, I'm from New Zealand originally, but based in Richmond, Virginia in the US. So there we go. That answers the funny accent things there we have. Amazing. Welcome, welcome. Great to see everyone adding into the chat. So pop in where you are in the world and what you do creatively, and then go through and see if you can spot other people who do similar things to you or in similar places as well. So I can see we've got graphic designers here, designers, illustrators, animation, graphic design for non-profit, fundraising, Joel, awesome. Ash, graphic design, illustration, amazing. Hudson Valley. So great seeing where everyone is. Savannah, Georgia, nice. Great media design. I love that. Fantastic. Illustration, California. This is so great. Philadelphia there as well. I can see we've got people from all over. Absolutely fantastic. Welcome, welcome. If you have just stepped in with us, make sure you pop in the chat as we get underway where you are in the world and what you do creatively. You are at the right place. We have an amazing workshop planned for today, all around pricing for designers. I'm super excited about this because it is such a powerful topic. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, is getting the pricing side right. So it's going to be an incredibly powerful workshop. We have some amazing people here co-hosting with me today, including two of our incredible clients that we've worked with, both Molly and Ryan. So we're going to get them to do some intros first, and then we'll introduce the rest of the Flammable team here, and then we're going to dive into a powerful workshop. So Ryan, over to you, if you can do a bit of an introduction of yourself.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Ryan Lanigan, coming to you from the rolling hills of Kentucky, deep within the hills. Hopefully no one can find me. But been in graphic design, illustration, marketing in general, kind of touched all areas of marketing over my 20-year career, and have recently pivoted to focus full-time on my own business. And that's something that the folks at Flammable Entrepreneur have been very helpful with. And looking forward to talking about a topic that's really important to all of us, and that is how we get paid and how we price our work. So excited to talk to you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Ryan. Such a powerful topic for sure. Molly, we'll get you to do an intro as well over there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Russell. I'm an independent designer and illustrator based in Missoula, Montana. I specialize in brand development, visual systems, and illustration that support storytelling for brands in a way that feels unique and authentic. My background is in graphic design, and I worked in-house and for creative agencies for about 10 years before starting my own business. I freelanced on the side for a lot of those years and always dreamed about starting my own thing. But every time I got thinking about it, I would always come to a dead end when I started thinking about the financial side and how to manage making a business work. It was really, it stopped me in my tracks many times. I was working full time for an ad agency when I discovered Logan and Flammable Entrepreneur, and honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened at that moment. And working with the team, I've just developed a lot more clarity in my offerings, as well as defining the way that I price my work. And I'm super excited to talk about that today because I find that that's something that I had a lot of resistance to early on. And February of 2026 marked my first year of working for myself full time. And in the course of working for myself, I've had several five-figure months, which is something to celebrate. And it's been a year of growth, to say the least. But I'd love to introduce you to Logan now, the founder of Flammable Entrepreneur. Logan's a business coach, and he works specifically with individuals in creative industries. Before becoming a business coach, he had his own creative business for 11 years. He's worked with universities, creative programs, as well as lots of individuals in the creative space. So graphic designers, illustrators, muralists, helping them grow their businesses using his wealth of knowledge and experience. He's helped clients, including me, build and run the businesses of their dreams. in a sustainable and successful way.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Molly. Appreciate that. It's so powerful to have Molly and Ryan here because they're going to be sharing their perspectives along the way with these things. Like, yes, this is such a powerful topic and there's so many great things around actions you need to do, theories, even mindset stuff as well. But being able to actually have Molly and Ryan sharing some of their perspectives along the way is going to be really, really powerful as well. And yeah, as Molly mentioned, like we work with visual creatives. So very much, mostly people in the US. We have the odd client outside of the US as well, but primarily people in the US who want to grow, right? That's people who are early stage, wanting to get started, wanting to actually grow something, maybe leave a day job. We also work with people who have been doing this for a while, right? Sometimes several years, they want more sustainability, they want more growth. And even people sometimes we work with who have been running their businesses for decades, but maybe they're expanding into something new. Maybe they're trying to have more diversity in what they do and make sure they do it with balance as well. All really important stuff. We also have the Flammable team here today supporting both in the background. We've got Celeste and Nadine there in the background, Zach as well. And then we have Alyssa and Paul here co-presenting today. So let's get a couple of intros. Paul, over to you first for a quick intro from the Flammable team.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. Hey, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Paul Corrigan. I'm the creative business specialist on the team here, and I'm newly based in Rhode Island, so exploring that in the wintertime. It's fun. My background is in content creation for brands and also as a small business owner myself, too. I have a Christmas tree business that I operate seasonally. Super fun stuff there. But I love connecting with you all about your businesses and figuring out ways to make it work, which is so tied into the pricing and the way that you price. So excited to be here today. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you, Paul. And then Alyssa, over to you for an intro.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Logan. My name is Alyssa Harmon, and I'm the program manager and one of the business point coaches here on the team at Flammable Entrepreneur. I work very closely with Logan and the rest of the gang, and I'm based in Tampa, Florida, though I've had the pleasure of living and working all around the country. So I come from a higher education background. I earned my master's degree in higher education as well as a doctor of education in educational leadership. So I specialize in working with adult learners and really value building strong relationships with our clients. And very excited to talk about this important topic today. And thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Paul. Powerful. We have lots to cover today. One of the other things we're going to do as part of today's call is we're going to be giving away a whole bunch of free coaching calls with the team, with Alyssa, Paul, Zach, Nadine, our coaches. So that is something to stick around for. We literally be dropping a calendar link that you can just book a call. It's going to be a great way to digest everything that you learned today as well. Take lots of notes today. Hi, if you've just arrived as well, do pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. We love it if you can have your video on so we can see you and interact with you a bit along the way as well. It's important to show up for yourself and your business, right? This is such a great part of it that you're here, right? So congratulations for being here. I know everyone's busy, right? Maybe this is your lunch hour. Maybe you're just jamming this in between a whole lot of other commitments, but well done because it's so important to keep learning and to keep growing. This might be one of the most important workshops you take this year because this is going to be really about unlocking some really key parts about pricing in your creative business, right? Whether you're early stage, whether you're wanting to launch, get started, or you've been doing this for years, this is such an important topic. We're going to do a bit of a fun thing today as well. We're going to give away $100 to the most interactive person or one of the most interactive people. The way that we're doing that is just through the chat, have your video on, interact in the chat. If you've got questions along the way, the team will do their best to answer them in the chat as well. But this is just a fun way to keep things interactive, to help people to lean in and go, hey, you know what, rather than kind of lying there falling asleep during the workshop, like be engaged, really sit up, take notes, and also, interact in the chat as well, right? And then Nadine from the team will pick someone who's been highly interactive towards the end and we'll be sending them $100. Pretty simple, pretty powerful, but we love to encourage the interaction there as well. So we'll probably have a pretty full chat there today as well. So today's topic, all about pricing for designers. This is something that so many people struggle with. The numbers stuff, the pricing, how to increase your rates. Such a powerful topic. Now, this workshop is for a lot of different people. If you are a designer, fantastic, you're at the right place. We also work with people who are illustrators, muralists, people who are in other visual design, visual creative areas as well. There is lots of areas of pricing that will be relevant right across the board here as well. So great place to be. As I said, if you're early stage, this is great for you. If you're further along, you've been doing this for years, fantastic. This is important as well. Sometimes we see people who want to transition what they offer to something else. Sometimes we see people who are trying to just expand what they're already doing. Pricing is such an important part of that. And at Flammable Entrepreneur, we get to see what works and what doesn't work, right? We have this unique position of working with a lot of clients. We've been doing it for absolutely years and years. We get to see what works and what does not work, right? We work with many designers. So today I'm going to be sharing these learnings with you, right? What people get right and what people get wrong, how to make sure you have the right pricing strategy, right? Because the truth is that if you have the wrong pricing strategy in your creative business, you're just going to struggle to build a long-term sustainable business. Either you'll have no clients, right? Or you'll be completely overwhelmed with a lot of clients and no time, and you'll be working 80 hours a week and you'll burn yourself out. Maybe you'll be earning what you want to earn, but it won't be sustainable. So there's a lot of balance to be had here as well. Sometimes I talk to people who are absolutely incredible at what they do, their creative craft, they put a lot of focus on, but then I look at what they're doing around their pricing strategy and what they're charging, and I can just see clearly that it's not working and it's not going to work, right? And sometimes they think, oh, maybe I'm not good enough at the skills. Maybe I'm not good at enough at the creative work, but actually it's things like pricing strategy that are getting in the way. Other things can come up as well. Of course, marketing, sales, those other business elements, they can get in the way as well, but you've got to have that pricing strategy right. Really, really important. So we're going to help you get more clarity around pricing for now, as well as in the future as well, no matter what stage you're in. And along the way, we'll have Molly and Ryan add some thoughts and comments, and then we'll get Paul and Alyssa involved in the Q&A at the end. So first thing I want to talk about is value, what your work is worth. This is really important to understand the value of what you do. There's a lot of value in these areas we're talking about. And something I want you to really keep crisp in your mind as you grow your business is that you need to compete on value, not on price. It's such an important thing, and it's something that a lot of people get wrong. Right? They go, I need to be the cheapest in town, or I need to compete with other people. I found someone that's charging this. Okay, I need to charge less. I'm going to be better than them because I'm going to be cheaper, right? Instead, you want to be known as the best. You want to be known as the most valuable. So we want to compete based on value, not based on price. Yeah, there might be someone else that's charging less or more. It could go either way, but you want to make sure that value is actually the piece that you're focused on. So that's what you're actually charging for. Good value, showing good value, and I'm going to dive into what that actually means. Actually, you'll be able to charge more, right? So part of this here is digging into what people actually value, what the specific clients actually need and what they care about. How do we do this? We ask them, right? It kind of seems obvious in a way, but it's actually kind of not, right? It's very easy to misunderstand and think that people want something and to pitch that to them at a certain price. And you're missing things in terms of what they actually care about and they value, right? So when you get an inquiry, you can actually ask people, well, what do you care about here? What do you want? I just want to dig into your needs a bit more and really deeply understand what is it that they care about. Is it that they're caring about fast turnaround? Is it that they're caring about how many revisions you're going to do? Is it that they really deeply care about the relationship and really trusting you, right? Really understanding what is it that this specific client really cares about? What do they value? Great communication throughout the sales process is really, really important, right? You're actually creating value through the professionalism that you put out when you're communicating with someone. Before you even tell them the price or send them the pitch or the proposal, right? Right from the time they contact you or the time you've opened up a conversation with them, you're already creating value at that point because you're building trust. Really, really important. So you do have to make sure you've got a solid sales process. Even if you're great at what you do creatively, if you don't have a good sales process, then they're not going to trust you and they're not going to work with you and they're not going to be willing to pay what you want to charge. And something we work very deeply with our clients about is making sure they've got a good sales process that's building in trust, building in professionalism, Really, really important. Trust is so, so important in growing a creative business. People are going to work with you because they know, like, and trust you, right? We've got to get those things right. And if someone knows you, likes you, and trusts you, they will be willing to pay really good rates. They will be willing to value what you do as well. Really, really important. And once again, the more trust, the more they're willing to pay. The more they like you, the more they're willing to pay, right? These things are absolutely important. Yes, you've got to be good at what you do creatively. Absolutely. For sure, that's important. The craft is important. But it's these other pieces of it that are also important. How professionally do you work with them? How timely do you reply to their emails? Right? Do you come across as trustworthy? Do you answer all their questions? Do you build a business and a relationship through honesty? Right? Really, really important. So this is a really important part of it, is building that value in. Ryan, would love to hear some of your thoughts, perspectives around the value piece.
Yeah, I think Logan really hit the nail on the head, and it's about, when you think in terms of value, and it's easy as a creative to devalue yourself in a lot of ways, just because there's pressure coming from there's pressure coming from insecurity from the inside, there's pressure from the outside, pressure from AI nowadays. There's something that says do more for less, do it faster, do it cheaper. So you do have to kind of check yourself and fight against that mindset in what you're doing, and really focus on not necessarily, hey, I want to make X amount of dollars. Though that's great, you need to think in those terms. Sometimes you want to think in terms of, what are you doing for the client? What value are you providing? What service are you providing that is unique to you, that they are coming to you to solve a problem for them? Now, that problem is a valuable problem to solve for the client. So you can think in terms of, hey, what I'm doing is worth X amount to me, but that's not necessarily as important as what it's worth to the client. If you really look at what is happening in that exchange, what are you doing for the client? What are you helping them communicate? What problems are you solving? What noise are you cutting through for the client? Those are really valuable things that if folks could do that themselves, they wouldn't be having the conversation to begin with. If they could do it with AI, in a lot of ways, they wouldn't be having the conversations either. So it's just really important to think of what you're doing as valuable, as something that has a huge impact on what your clients are doing in their businesses. And another great thing that he said is really thinking in terms of relationships instead of transactions. Something where you're putting the time in to learn what problems that the client needs to solve. And they're not necessarily going to communicate that really clearly to begin. You've got to spend some time really digging, research what they've done in the past, what they've done well, what they've not done well, where they're strong, where they're weak, how you can match up with that, what you can do, even if it's not necessarily what they're asking for. What is it that you can provide that they really need in the end? Well, it's awesome that you're asking for this logo, but really, you look at your web presence, you look at your social media, you look at all these other, the identity that you have more of a branding problem than a logo problem. And you can address those sort of things, and then, figure out what that's worth to the client, figure out what that's worth in your market, and then price things accordingly. And then, stick to your guns on these things, set standards, build processes, and then most importantly, build relationships with people so that you get to know them. And hopefully it's somebody that after you solve, one problem for them, they're going to come back to you again and again to solve problems over time.
Amazing. Thank you, Ryan. So powerful. There's so many good things here. And once again, getting this perspective from Ryan and soon Molly as well is so powerful, because they're in it, right? They're living, they're breathing this day to day as well. And what we are also going to do, we're going to get Ryan and Molly to pop their Instagrams into the chat. We'd love to make sure people are connecting with them. And also Celeste from my team is going to pop our Flammable Entrepreneur Instagram in there too. We'd love to make sure that we get connected with people. I know we're already chatting to some people that are here in the DMs as well, which is fantastic. But go and click those links and just make sure you're connected with us, with Molly, with Ryan as well. What we then are going to do is get other people to drop in their Instagrams here as well. So make sure you do get a clickable link, get the URL. So actually open up web browser, grab your Instagram URL, just like some people are doing already, drop it into the chat. Right, this is a great opportunity to build community and connection with other people. Get a few more followers of engaged people that love what you do. right? So pop it in the chat and then go through and make sure you're connected with some of the people here. You may not connect with everyone here, that's fine, but just go through and connect with some people. So go grab that, go get the web browser. Everyone's getting their links there. I love that. Community is such an important part of growing a creative business. We have a really strong community part when we do our coaching as well. We get people connected. We're getting clients building camaraderie with each other. And really, it's a powerful, important thing. So this is actually a great opportunity to just get you building a bit more community, supportive people around you through Instagram, right? So drop those links in the chat. I can see our chat is overflowing with links, which is great. You probably won't be able to open up everyone's Instagram because there's a lot there, but just go through and see what some people are up to. Go check out some of their stuff. Go show some support for what they do as well. Amazing. Okay, we're going to talk about figuring out what to charge and setting the right price. Right, this is really important. One thing I'm going to acknowledge here is that most creatives, most visual creatives undercharge. Right, it's a really common thing that we see. Most people actually overall undercharge, but certainly creatives, especially early on. Right, so this is a common mistake. Is that you maybe your early stage, you're trying to get rolling, and you just put really low prices because you're like, hey, I'm still figuring things out, and that might be true, but you can often charge much more than you think you can early on. Now, the biggest lesson of actually this entire workshop today is to really understand that you should charge based on what people will pay. Right? That's what you should be charging, based on what people are willing to pay, based on what a client, an ideal client, is willing to pay. This is the number one lesson. This is something that will reverberate. It comes back in different ways, but you need to charge based on what people are willing to pay. Now, a lot of people, there's lots of equations you can do to figure out pricing, absolutely, and they can help you to figure things out, but ultimately it all needs to come back to what is someone willing to pay for your services. Really, really important. So don't just look at your time. A lot of people, they look at their time and go, okay, well, it's going to take 5 hours, so I'll charge this amount. Right? Actually, what is the thing that you're delivering, the service or the product that you're delivering, worth to the person you're selling it to? Because that's what you should be charging. And where possible, you should do that as often as you can, increase your rates over time. Right? So, we recommend where possible, you do charge on project-based pricing. It's not always going to be possible. Sometimes it is per hour. Working with a client, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you want to increase those hourly rates, but where possible, you want to basically have a project-based price. This is $4,000 and this is the thing that you're delivering, right? Because the truth is that clients actually don't really understand or know how long things are going to take. So if you say, hey, yep, I charge this per hour, they might be like, oh, that's great. How many hours is it going to take? And you're like, well, it depends. They're like, well, I don't know how much this is going to end up costing. Whereas when you're like, hey, this is $3,000, $2,000, $1,800, $5,000, right? Actually, it's a much different equation. They're looking at the value. And actually, this is where you can get really smart about increasing your rates, getting really smart about your time as well. So try, where possible, move away from per hour pricing. Not always possible. If you are doing the per hour pricing thing, we just need to really maximize what you can charge for that. Part of this also is do the numbers. So still look at what time is involved in something. Are there any costs involved? Right? Is there any other equipment or materials or things you need to spend money on, software? Right? You need to take that into account as well. Really, really important. So I'm not saying ignore the numbers and forget about time. Yeah, you've got to know those things, look at those costs, but don't just value yourself based on time. I'm like, hey, if you can do something that takes you 3 hours and you can charge $3,000, well, good on you. Right? Yeah, it might be hard to figure out that exact equation, but this is really important to understand that you want to charge based on what people are willing to pay, and enough of the right people willing to pay that as well. Really, really important. Another tip here around pricing is we do recommend you have a minimum, right? It could be $500, it could be $2,000, right? This is particularly when you're looking at project-based, or if you're doing hourly, you could look at minimum number of hours. Right, but it's really important to do that where possible. Some people early stage won't, but as you grow, you'll be wanting to put a minimum in place and you want to build that up. Like we have clients that have minimums of $500, right? Pretty straightforward, right? And they may even state that somewhere saying, hey, minimum rates, I charge you this, right? Because it kind of keeps away people that are maybe after something for $100, they're going to waste your time, etc. We also have clients who have minimums of $1,000, $2,000. right? And you can often creep that up over time as well. Really, really powerful. Basically, we see again and again, if you're charging the lower rates, you're also going to have people who will muck you around more as well. Right. So really, really interesting. Part of pricing, the truth is, yes, there's great strategies and equations and different things you can do. But the truth is that part of it is going to be a bit of guesswork. You've got to put yourself out there and you've got to get clients that are willing to say yes. The only way to fully know someone is going to work with you at a certain rate is that they work with you at a certain rate. Right? That's just the truth of it. So yes, we want to see some friction there. You're going to have some people saying no, but the truth is we need to often do a bit of guesswork and then raise rates from there as well. So there's a lot obviously in this topic. Molly, would love to hear some of your thoughts around these different things around pricing and figuring out those rates.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Logan. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, I feel like pricing was something that I was really resistant to. I didn't want to talk about it. I was very passive about, it'd be great if somebody came along who just was willing to pay me a ton of money for something, or they have a huge budget and they present the numbers, because I really avoided it. Which, once I started working with Logan and his team, I recognized that avoidance was really like something to listen to and something to lean into. So I think that, my approach is that, there's, like Logan said, there's no perfect formula for pricing. It's dependent on so many things. And I think one of the biggest skills I've learned in the last year is to just really collect data, all of the data you can possibly collect in your experiences. One of the greatest things about working for yourself is that every time you have a new client relationship, you get to negotiate what your worth is, what your value is, what you're asking for. So it gives you this opportunity to kind of, put it out there and test it, and then analyze how did it go? How much time did it take? What did I make? Those types of things. So I think it's important to continue to come back to the numbers. The numbers are really important. Even if you're not going to be, charging an hourly rate per se, it's so important to know what the backbone is from a financial perspective of running your business. So I typically, it's really important to understand how much does it cost to run your business? And I would say get as detailed as you possibly can. And then what do you hope to bring home in terms of money from your business? Like what do you need? What's your baseline? What does it cost to pay your mortgage, your childcare? What do you, how much fun money do you want to have? That kind of thing. And like when I started, I kind of just based my numbers on what I was making previously at other jobs, which is an okay place to start. But I think that if you can get as granular as possible in understanding, like what is my life budget? What is my, what do I need? That's like kind of an important indicator of like, you don't want to get too close to that number. You always want to be above it to keep things running smoothly. And then there comes the like work-life balance. Like how many hours do you want to work a week? How many hours do you want to work a month, a year? Like, do you want to take a big vacation at a certain point in the year? Do you want to work, those types of things also come into place. You can kind of define, how many projects you take on at a time, or how to kind of, make sure that you're strategically looking for the right, right types of clients at the right time. And so kind of defining those things and those values of your business will help you understand, like, I only want to work on one client at a time, but I'm hoping to make $10,000 a month. And it's like, okay, well, maybe your price point is going to need to be higher so that you can hit that mark. Or if you're like, I want to do, 5 clients at a time and I want to make, again, $10,000 a month, like, you'll have more clients at a time. And it really just depends on, the nuance of like the type of work you're doing and what you can handle, as well as like, how much time do you want to spend working? And like Logan mentioned, you really just kind of take all that data and define your pricing and then put it to the test. Go out there and pitch your projects and be okay with hearing the word no, which is a hard one for me to learn. But put it out there, and like the way you price your work is going to affect the value perception of your services and what you're doing. So, if you're undervaluing, or if you're doing work for free, it's like you're going to receive that kind of involvement and collaboration, or lack thereof, from your clients. So it's super important to have confidence in those numbers that you put out and hold firm too. Because if you start to get wishy-washy, it's, someone's going to think that your value is negotiable. Something I always say is that, like, you don't go to the grocery store and pick up a gallon of milk and start asking the cashier if you can, like, have it for half price. Like, you just don't do that. And I think that often, for some reason in the creative industry, people think that they can, I don't know, like, get it for cheaper. And it's like, it's just, it can be baffling. So make sure that you hold firm.
Love that. Thank you, Molly. So, so powerful, and so many great gems in there as well in terms of the real stuff that Molly works through on a day-to-day, right? The things that she's thought about, had to think about when it comes to pricing as well. So much powerful stuff. We're gonna talking about money, right? So talking to clients about price, trying to figure out the money conversations. It's complex, right? So the first thing I want to say here is that most people have pretty weird beliefs around how money works, right? That means most people in the world, that means many people here, right? Most people have pretty weird beliefs around how money actually works. We need to remember that it's just a form of trade, right? It's just a form of value trade. You're not taking something away from someone when they pay you or when you pay them as well, right? We've got to really understand that this is really just a form of trade. Right now, it's much easier to use money than to trade services or products. You can technically do that as well, but it's pretty complex, right? Like if you are like, hey, well, I need to eat. Well, you're probably not going to say, well, who's got some food, who has some animals or some corn that I can trade for my design services, right? Like it's not going to work. It's complex. Instead, we have money, right? Much easier for that. So just understanding that it's just a form of trade. It's really important because often there can be that feeling of like taking. No, it's trading. Really, really important. Part of what we see around talking about money is that you also need to be really confident in what you do, right? This is really, really interesting. So often we see there's a need to work on belief in what you do, confidence around what you do, and that may not be there straight away. But the more confident you are in your work, your abilities, your ability to grow a business, you will feel a lot better about charging more. You'll know your worth. You'll be able to charge those rates and you'll be able to deal with yes and no's, right? Because as we hear from Molly, also in the chat there as well, there's some conversations around actually you're going to see some friction. You're going to have people saying no, right? We want to see some people saying no when you put pitches out there. 10 or 20% of people should say no, right? No, I can't afford that. No, I'm not going to pay that, right? If you're seeing a lot more people saying no, well, there's something going on we need to figure out. If no one's saying no, well, it probably means straight away you're undercharging, right? So there's sometimes these little tactics around that to be aware of. You're probably worth more than you can actually believe. You just need to find the right clients. And that's actually a marketing problem, right? So there's a few chats in the chat, a few conversations in the chat as well around this, around marketing. There's so much stuff in this, but we need to make sure you're getting in front of the right clients. Really important. The other thing is you're probably going to need to just work on that mindset stuff. You're going to need to work on abundance mindset, right? You need to realize that there are absolutely opportunities out there. Our clients right now are growing their businesses better than ever before because the opportunities are growing in these spaces. People are able to charge even more. But you need to believe that to be true to actually take advantage of those opportunities, right? It's really understanding that if you think there's nothing out there, there's no opportunities, scarcity mindset comes through, well, the truth is you won't market yourself. You won't put yourself out there. You won't figure out the pricing strategies because why would you bother if you believe there's nothing out there? So it's a really interesting mindset piece that can come up around that. Look, in the end, I said this early on, that the best way to be confident in your prices is to charge them, right? Test them out, try higher pricing, even if it feels like it's really too high, because selling at that price will give you confidence to keep moving. When you talk to clients about money, it's also really important to make sure you're presenting professionally. This is so, so essential. If you're not presenting yourself professionally with great proposals, well, they probably won't be willing to pay as much. Because they're like, okay, like this is kind of where this person's operating. So really work on that professionalism. We work very closely with our clients to make sure that they're coming across professionally, building trust, all of those good things there. So, so important. And a quick hack here, you can actually ask people for their budget, right? You're allowed to do that. They may not answer, right? They may say, oh, just kind of curious what you're charging and what the pricing would be for this thing. But you can say, cool, I'd love to understand, do you have a budget range in mind? Right? We've seen this go so well so many times. We've also seen people who have got an answer that was, oh, wow, they've got a much bigger budget than I realized. Okay, I can do a lot more for them. Right? So understanding that, so important. Love that. Ryan, would love to hear some of your thoughts and perspectives around this, the talking about money topic as well.
Sure. And something that I'll reiterate too is this something that, like any skill, it's going to get easier over time. The more you practice it, the more conversations you have, the more times you negotiate these sort of things, you're going to get more confident at it, and you're going to pick up on things that make it more efficient, make it go faster. Something that's really important and has been touched on is just being prepared. And that involves, researching, what things are worth in terms of value, what kind of market you're in as far as the folks that are around you, what are other people charging, as much as, ask folks if they'll answer. I've found that people are pretty willing to share that kind of information, at least on a per project basis, if you're willing to ask. So find out information on that. You've got that ammunition in your back pocket now. Be prepared, have documents put together that are proposals that are, have pricing tiers set up so what projects are worth, what the value is for most clients going into these conversations. And there's always going to be, clients that are fits and clients that aren't a fit. And you got to be willing to let the clients that aren't a fit go. And I know that's hard and it can be scary sometimes, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to put your pricing out there and come back and say, well, you know what, I really have to have this job and I got to buy this next month, and well, I'll do it for 500. You can't, you're undermining yourself and your long-term value by doing that. So if at all possible, try to avoid coming down on pricing over time. Because I can tell you from my years of experience, I've never really overcharged a client for what they're getting from me. You'll find that even the folks that have more budget, sometimes they have more complex problems. Sometimes they have more complex communication patterns with more chiefs and not enough, other folks that are going to fall in line. So it's just it's experimentation, it's preparation, it's clear communication, obviously, and being confident in your own position as somebody who's offering value, again, as we mentioned at the beginning, to a client and solving problems for them. And again, just finding people that value what you do, people that are great to work with, ideally, and finding that mix of folks, I think is really where the rubber hits the road in terms of your business. You've got clients that are paying the value for what your work is worth. You're doing work that you enjoy, work that is fulfilling. You're solving problems. They're happy. You're being paid well. They're getting value, and it's just it's not an impossibility for that to happen. That's something that just takes clear communication. It takes work on both sides, and it really helps, again, as Logan said, being professional and polished in your communications and having pricing prepared, having patterns of communication prepared, whether you're doing email templates or however you're being prepared in these situations, presentation templates. Figure out what your communication style is, how you present yourself the best, and do that consistently, and stick to your guns, even if it's hard, because long term you're going to be happier with clients that are a good fit and that value what you do than you will be compromising your value to get a quick buck. So I know that's something that's helped me grow and to find clients that I'm better matched with over time, and I hope that's something you guys learn how to do.
So powerful once again. And I love the language Ryan was using here around like solving problems. Did people catch that, right? Like solving problems, creating value, right? That's how you do it, right? If you're creating value in the world, if you're solving problems, you can charge really, really good rates for that, right? You solve bigger problems, you create more value, you can charge even more. So important, right? And getting beyond just the time equation and thinking about these other pieces of the puzzle as well. So powerful. I was just having a read through the chat here as well, and there's so many great conversations happening in here. I absolutely love this as well. The next part I want to talk about is growing your business and increasing your rates, right? How do we actually increase those rates, and how do we do it in sustainable ways? Most people want pretty similar things in their businesses, right? From the conversations we have with lots of people working with our clients very closely, we get to understand that most people want to have creative work that they love doing, working with people they want to work with. They also want flexibility, they want freedom, they want time off, they want to rest, right? They want to earn good income, and they don't want to overwhelm and burn themselves out, right? These are the common things that we see. I'm sure everyone here can relate in different ways to those things. Well, if you want to grow your business, there's one thing you can do. You can work more. It's always an option. Put more time in, put more hours in, work on weekends, work late at night. The problem is it's going to lead to burnout, right? It's going to lead you to being in a place where you're like, well, I've just created a job that I don't like. I'm overwhelmed. I work all the time. I never have a break. I can't afford to have holidays because I'm just working all the time. So it's always an option, but it leads to burnout. Instead, raising your rates, increasing your pricing is one of the easiest and most effective ways to grow because you're earning more from less work. Right. And it's kind of an interesting saying when it comes to pricing. Like, imagine if you went through, let's say you've got a bunch of clients you're already working with, you went through and you just doubled your pricing with them. And then let's say you lost half of those clients, right? Because they're like, there's no way I'd ever pay that. Well, yeah, that's actually a good thing because in the end, you are actually doing half the work of the same amount of money. Right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. Now, obviously, I'm not saying go do this because it's probably not going to just work straight away, but it's really powerful to understand that getting the pricing side right is so important. We want to make sure you're earning more from less work because undercharging for your time, for your energy, it's going to make it really hard to build a long-term sustainable business that gives you what you need. Right? Gives you the things that you need to, yes, pay for, but also gives you things like time off and holidays. Right? So building a long-term sustainable business is really, really important. So making sure that you're really leaning into those other things is important, right? You're going to have to market. You're going to have to do the selling beyond just the creative work. And if you don't have any time to do that, it's going to also be really hard to grow as well, right? We've got to charge good rates so you've got the time to do the other things, the business growth, the marketing efforts as well. Right? You've got to have a good pricing model that allows you to grow, allows you to be sustainable as well. So important. Now, something that we've really noticed is that an important part of the pricing strategy is to have what we call higher or valuable offerings or higher priced offerings. This is really, really important. So what I'm talking about here is making sure that you're charging good rates, but also looking at the products, the services that you're offering. Right? I've got nothing against the $20 prints, the $30 prints, the $3 stickers. There's lots of things that you can do for, $50, $80, $100, $200. The thing that we've noticed is that it's really hard to build a long-term sustainable business selling those at those sorts of rates. Right? Instead, you're much better going, hey, like charging higher rates. And we've seen that really looks like $300 plus. If you're charging per hour, it would be adding those number of hours together as kind of a project rate and going, okay, is that well above that? And I'm saying 300 minimum, right? Ideally, you're charging 800, 1,000, 4,000, 8,000, right? These sorts of rates, it's going to be much easier to charge those higher rates and meet the goals that you have. Because the problem is often those low ticket items, whether it's the prints or the stickers, other things like that, they're really interesting. They're really cool. You just need to sell so many to build in sustainability. We have clients that do those things, but it's a smaller portion of their time and of their energy. The bulk of it is focused on what we call these valuable offers, $300 plus. This is another really powerful takeaway I want everyone to be really aware of because it's something we've seen for years and years and years, right? Is that we talk to people who come in, they start working with us and we look at what they're doing and they're like, oh, I just don't know what's going wrong. I'm earning, $500 a month and I'm full-time and I'm trying to do all this stuff here. And they've got their pricing strategy completely wrong and they're offering things for really low rates and they're trying to do the $20, the $50 and they're trying to sell based on volume, which is really hard to do. You need to sell a lot of things at those $100 rates or the $5 rates, the $20 rates to actually make decent income. And you need to do it every single month. And you may need to take into account time or materials for that as well. So this is a really important part of it. We want you to actually focus on quality, right? So focus on quality, focus on value, right? Being the cheapest out there is not a good business strategy because there's always going to be someone charging less than you. Literally, no matter what you charge, you'll always find someone who's charging less, right? So it's really important to understand that, that might be scary when you come across someone who's charging less, but actually you want to be known as the best in town, the easiest to work with, the most trustworthy, the most valuable, rather than someone saying, oh yeah, they're good because they're cheap. That's not really what we want to be known as. Really, really important. So don't use price as a competitive advantage, right? It's just a race to the bottom. There'll always be someone charging less. Also, you'll find that people, when you're charging those lower rates, the people you're working with will muck you around even more, right? So there's a fascinating thing that happens there. People that you charge higher rates to will probably muck you around less. Right? That's what we see on average. It's super fascinating seeing how that works, but it's a really powerful thing that we do notice again and again. A big part of finding the price, finding the clients you can actually charge the rates you want to charge is marketing, right? I mentioned that earlier on. This is not a marketing workshop today, but it's incredibly important, right? We work with our clients very closely on this. If you want to increase your rates, if you want to charge good rates, you also need to make sure that you're putting your energy out there into marketing. There's so many great ways to market your creative business. A lot of people, what they do is they maybe throw up a website, maybe they have an Instagram, and then they kind of wait and they're like, where are the people? Where are they? Right? And it kind of makes sense because marketing is hard. You have to put that energy out there. There's lots of ways you can do that. It could be getting into outreach. It could be really digging deeply into Instagram and what you can do there. It could be building partnerships. It could be networking. Right? There's lots of things that you can do, but you will need to lean into something. Is that hard? Yeah, absolutely. But it's something you can learn. It's something that you can get better at as well. What we really find is that it's quite hard to increase your rates with existing clients, right? Existing clients, it's hard to do that. So you've got to often find new clients. Molly, we'd love to hear a couple of your thoughts around this side here as well.
Yeah. I think, Logan's mentioned a couple of the key indicators around knowing when to have the conversation about raising your rates, either just with yourself or with your clients. But I think some of the key things for me are, if you're feeling financial stress or if you're feeling work-life balance stress, or even burnout, it's definitely an indicator that something needs to change in your pricing. And just on the opposite side of that, if everyone's saying yes and there's no pushback on pricing whatsoever, no negotiating, no conversations about it, again, reconsider your pricing. About 20% of the proposals that you send out should be rejected due to the price being too high. And that I don't like hearing the word no. And that's also something that's been a challenge for me, but it's really important to know that you're kind of just right on the edge of your pricing range or in terms of your market and what you're pitching to folks. Hearing no is good. It's a good thing. And then again, I'll come back to the data. Make sure that you're tracking everything, not just your time, but all of your leads, all of your proposals, and checking back on it often to make sure that you're being paid at the rate you're hoping to be paid, for everything that you're putting out. Because it's easy to, I used to rush through the money conversation because again, I was so uncomfortable with it that I would just, let's get this contract signed and let's do the work because I love doing the work. But that's all good and great. But if you're undercharging and then you get to the work and you're like, oh my gosh, this has taken me months and it was supposed to take weeks. And I'm starting to push into other deadlines and other things that need to happen. It's like clear that you're, probably losing money on that type of transaction. And it can feel hard to learn the lesson after you've already been through all the contractual stuff and you're doing the project. But like I mentioned earlier, with project-based pricing, you get to renegotiate the next time you engage with either the same client or another client in the future. So when you're having these conversations with your clients, say especially when you have a client who's a repeat client that you've worked with a lot, it can be kind of tough to have the conversation because it's, you've worked with them forever and they, last year the price was this and now you're trying to tell me it's more. But I think it's super important to take the emotion out of it. Mm-hmm. It's business. It's not personal. The business is paying, a person's business is paying you to offer them a service. And again, like has been mentioned by both Logan and Ryan, it's a trade for, you're providing them value and they're providing you value. It may, come in different forms, but you have to remember that it's not just about, someone getting the same price forever. So it's important to just maintain that it's not a personal thing. And again, like Ryan said, being prepared is super important in this aspect as well. Being super thorough in the way that you communicate about pricing and document your agreements around pricing. So there's no surprises whatsoever. At the end of the day, if you have a conversation with a client about raising your rates, and they still say no, you know that you've been professional and delivered communication in a very professional fashion, and high quality interactions all around. Like you can't argue with that. It's like I presented myself in a way that feels, uh, um, true to who I am. And this is what my work costs, and this is the value of it. And if it's a no, it's a no. But I think just having those aspects of professionalism as well, just, kind of even if the client doesn't want to work with you, it really, for me, puts a bow on it in terms of like, it's not about you and the way you work. It's, maybe they don't see the value, and that's also not on you.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. Some amazing perspectives there, especially around that professionalism side. So important. We've covered a lot today, right? Time absolutely flies. It's so important. Make sure if you have written notes, go through them. Look at things you can actually action. Look, having more clarity around pricing is a great start, absolutely. But often we see people do need to dig a lot deeper beyond that as well in terms of what we've shared today. We've got to figure out those other business elements, the marketing, the sales. The truth is today's workshop really has just touched the tip of the iceberg. So what we are going to do is we're going to be helping you even further today. We're going to be offering free calls with our Flammable coaching team. These are one-on-one calls. I'm going to literally drop a link into the chat so you can just book a time. We've got times for tomorrow. We've got times for next week, even the week after. We've got a few times as well. My recommendation is to find a time as soon as possible. That'll help you get more clarity around where you're at and what you need, and also digest things from today. Really, really important. So I am going to drop that link in here soon so that you can just book in a call. It will be first in, first served. Our team are really busy. Right, Alyssa, Paul, Nadine, Zach, they're all really busy, but they have opened up their calendars for this. But we want to make sure that we do honor their time as well. So I've just got a few quick caveats I'll share with you if you're going to book the call. Number one is that you need to be someone that wants to take action, right? You're not someone that's just like, oh, I'm just kind of gathering information and one day I will grow my business or start my business. You're someone that's like, you know what, like 2026, it's time to get moving, right? This is a great call for you if that is you. If you're really wanting to grow, figure these things out, unlock things, great, book that call. Second thing here is that we want you to be open to sharing where you're at, right? Open up about that, share your dreams, share your challenges, share what's getting in the way, and open to hearing their observations from all of their vast experience. We're basically saying we just want you to be coachable on that. Having a bit of a growth mindset is going to be important for that call, and then commit to it, right? If you book the call today, please make sure you do turn up. You are at a table, you're not sort of, sitting on your phone, making them dizzy, holding it or hanging out in the car. Really important that you're in a stable environment. Have your notes, be able to take notes. Their time is so valuable. The knowledge they're going to share with you is incredibly valuable. We've only got limited spots, so we don't want to muck them around. So make sure you commit to it. And then also we will be sending you some messages afterwards just to get things prepped for the call to get some things sorted for that. If you agree to those terms, can you just pop in the chat, yes, or an emoji or a thumbs up or okay, I like it, or just something to show our agreement to that as well. Amazing bonus points for emojis. And don't worry, everyone, we are doing the $100 giveaway soon as well. Hey, I'm just going to drop that link into the chat there. So I'll probably pop it in a couple of times because it's going to get smothered by emojis. The emojis coming through. So go through, grab a time now, open that link now. It is there in the chat. This here will automatically send you to one of the team, right? So go through, find a time. There is a good bunch of times in there at the moment, but it will be first in, first served. Try and snap those times up for tomorrow, otherwise next week, and even a few times for the week after. So valuable. I would actually love absolutely everyone here to book in this call, right? Because it's a really powerful call. It's a great way to digest. We may not be able to fit everyone into the calls, but please do. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not sure if this is for me or not. If you're someone that agrees to those terms, this is definitely for you. If you're someone that wants to grow and just get a bit of extra boost of support off the back of this workshop, book that call in. The team are lovely. They're awesome to talk with. They're going to be really supportive and open with that as well. Amazing. I'll pop it in the chat there again as well because I know it's flowed through. So everyone is clicking that. I love it. Cool. So we do have a few minutes. So we are going to make sure that we do I will do that $100 giveaway, but also I want to make sure that we cover at least a question or two. So this first one, Alyssa, I'm going to send your way. So this is around sending a proposal. So does sending a proposal make you end up landing a client, or is it more likely to land a client if you send a proposal? I think it's probably the phrasing. Can you share some thoughts on that one?
Yes, I love this question. And the answer is yes. So you definitely recommend sending a proposal because this shows professionalism and it builds that trust that we were talking about. So, something else to consider is that, when you're in the proposal stage and the negotiation stage, if you're talking to one person, they might be showing your proposal to other decision makers, right? So if those other decision makers don't know you, like you might be talking to one client and they know you, but their colleagues may not. So make sure in your proposal include lots of other info about you and your experience, maybe some testimonials, in order to build that know, like, and trust within the actual proposal itself. And as you continue growing, keep in mind, you might want to build yourself up to have more and more professional proposals along the way. Okay. So these things take time, just like everything. So even if you start with more of a bare bones one pager proposal, that's okay. It's best to get in front of clients and start marketing as soon as possible. Include some kind of proposal as you can. If you aren't there yet, it's best to take imperfect action and remember that you can always improve it over time. So, short answer is yes, a proposal can definitely help with landing clients more often.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alyssa. So powerful and really important to understand. It's an important piece of the puzzle, those proposals. Paul, this question for you. Should I list my pricing on my website? Oh, this is a really good one. Should you list pricing on your website?
Yeah, it's definitely tempting to do so. And I think this question came up in the chat. We don't recommend doing it though, and I'll give you the reasons why. First of all, it's that idea of value over price. So somebody seeing sticker shock of the price might be like not willing to pay it then, but later on, if they understood your value and you had a chance to talk to them and understand and build that trust, understand their needs, that's when you could actually put a higher price point out there and they would be like, oh, that's not shocking because it equates with the value that I'm seeing you're delivering. And so it's usually not a cookie cutter answer anyway, since a lot of this stuff is custom. Like Molly said, it's every time you're kind of revisiting that and negotiating these things. And so it does change. You could probably have some back end, numbers that you need to have, but you don't want to share those publicly typically. And we say you could put the minimum. I think we talked about this a little bit too, but you could have a minimum on your website, and that basically keeps away people who are trying to waste your time. And that's good to avoid. So always a minimum, but not the specific pricing there, and wait to develop that relationship first.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. So powerful. We are going to do the $100 giveaway now as well. I've been seeing a whole lot of people been booking calls in, so keep working through that. There is quite a wide range of times there, by the way. So just double check when you book a time or the time you've booked that it is AM or PM, because we do have quite a good coverage at the moment, which is great. And what we're doing around the giveaway is that it's for Ty Ashley. So I'm going to pop in the chat, $100 giveaway for Ty Ashley. Please reach out to us either on Instagram or you can email us. Go to our website. I'll pop our Instagram there. But Ty, send us a message and we'll send you across the $100. Well done. Very interactive chat today. It's been lots happening. Thank you to the Flammable team for answering a bunch of questions where possible as well. So good. Look, we really do that to keep things fun and interactive, which I've absolutely loved that everyone's been leaning into that. I've loved seeing people getting these calls on the calendar as well. So I'm going to drop that link in there again. If you haven't booked a call in, there's still a few times left. Pop that in there. As I said, I will drop the link. There it goes. So click that link. I would love everyone here who's happy with those caveats. If you want to learn, you want to grow, get on that call. It's going to be really, really powerful. The team are absolutely lovely. Do keep an eye out for a message from Celeste from the team. She's going to touch base with you before, just to get you to fill in a really short form, just to help the team prep, just to learn a bit more about where you're at so they can prep for the call and you can get the most from that. It is actually in the call confirmation email and booking email. You can click that link and just fill that in now or after this to save some time. But otherwise, we do ask that you get that done. We'll get an email out to you today or tomorrow to remind you. But a really, really powerful piece just to get the team prepped for that call as well. This has been so, so powerful today. We have covered a lot of stuff. We've really dug in deep. Molly, Ryan, appreciate you both so much. It's so great to have you here. What I want to do now is takeaways, right? So if you do need to shoot away because you've got something right now or on the air, all good. Let's take a couple of minutes. If everyone here who's live, can you just pop a takeaway into the chat? Right, what have you learned today? What's been powerful? What's been interesting? What's been helpful? Pop in the chat. What's a new perspective? Maybe there's a line that one of us said that you're like, wow, that's so powerful, right? Thinking about value or communicating value or thinking about that professionalism, building that trust, right? These pieces are so important. Building the confidence, right? Building the confidence around what you do. Absolutely important stuff here. This is going to help other people to digest what we've done today as well. I love this, just having a look through the chat here. Lots of great things in here. Say no more. Price value, not price on value, not on time. I guess that means there. Learning as you go is inevitable. Take imperfect action. Ask for the client's budget. Janet, that's such a good tip, right? Asking for the client's budget. It's a really good one. It's not always going to work, but definitely you can ask. Avoid pricing on websites. The difference between price and value. Thank you guys. Amazing. Imperfect action. Absolutely. Don't budge on pricing based on urgency. Don't let anyone negotiate your value. I think there's so many great things here. Have a read through what other people are sharing and what other people have really digested in this. This is such a powerful one. If you did join us late today, we are going to be sending out the recording to make sure you can watch the rest of it as well. Even if you want to re-watch this webinar, I know we've covered a lot of stuff here as well. I'm super excited to get you connected with our Flammable team. They're absolutely lovely. Those of you that have booked calls, I will drop the link in the chat one more time if it's flooded out for you. But we're going to wrap things up for today. I've loved that everyone's dug in. It's been so good seeing and interacting with people via the chat, via obviously the videos as well. So thank you all. We're going to wrap up there. We'll stick around for a couple of minutes in the chat as well. Awesome team. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Flammable team as well. Ciao, everyone. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's recording of today's workshop. Look, if you weren't able to join us live, the opportunity to have a freebie call with my team is open for you as well. We do have limited spots and they won't be there for long. Go through, check that link in the email and book in a time. This is for you as well. If you've watched the workshop, you've engaged with it in this way, even via YouTube, fantastic. We'd love to make sure you get that opportunity for that call as well, as long as you're happy for those caveats. So yeah, hopefully got lots out of this workshop and look forward to connecting with you more. Awesome.